Okay. So Calvin, they're working you, eh?
Yeah, my boss is so tough. Oh man. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's going good. It's been slim pickings there over the Christmas holidays. So now I just got another text from a previous customer from a few years ago, and new customers. So, and I feel young again. Like when I first started out, I had no money, and it's okay. Let's just put that smile on and get going.
All right, I'm going to be starting the recording in less than 30 seconds here.
Okay.
Well, go on, everybody. Lennox here from Simple 123 Trader. It is Monday, March the 3rd. We are live at the New York Stock Market afternoon session. Glad you can join us. Okay, taking a look at news for today, which is the 3rd of March. Let's see what we've got. And there was manufacturing PMI this morning at 7 a.m. Eastern time. Interesting. So I don't know if that had any dent on the market whatsoever. George, you might know. Maybe you were up at that time, 7 a.m. Can you hear me, George?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Can you hear me?
Yes. Was there any
I just changed the port that I've hooked my microphone up. Is it giving you the?
No, I don't hear anything.
You don't hear anything from the phone, my microphone?
No. So it's all good. Did the news this morning? There was some ISM manufacturing PMI news. Did that have any effect on the markets this morning that you noticed? George?
I haven't. Yes, I haven't traded all morning. I've been on the phone with Thinkorswim and.
Okay, no problem. All right, I'll take a quick look at what's going on with the U.S. dollar. Currently, I'm on the hourly time frame looking at the U.S. dollar at the bottom. It is in a downward trajectory, while the euro U.S. dollar is in an upward trajectory. So we have a lot of weakness in the U.S. dollar currently. So I'm going to go to the hourly here. I'm on the NAS. But looking at, since the U.S. dollar is down, we would look for plays to the upside in the Aussie U.S. dollar. We would look for, you would think that the Bitcoin would be going up as well, but it's a bit neutral at the moment. It has neutral to down because it had a big downer bar here about 4 hours ago, 5 hours ago.
Lennox, you're not sharing your screen.
Okay. Thanks for telling me there, Vic. Appreciate that. And my apologies, I'm not sharing my screen. Let me start sharing my screen.
Oh, there's a window. Okay.
Okay, that would help a lot if everybody could see what I'm talking about. So let me start over again. We looked at the morning news, the news coming out for the morning, any kind of news, red news especially, and there was ISM manufacturing PMI at 7 a.m. this morning. I don't know if that had any effect on the market per se, but we can always take a look at that time. The U.S. dollar is very weak against the other currencies right currently. So that's the takeaway. So I want to take a look at Aussie US dollar, for instance. Aussie US dollar would be strong against a weak US dollar. Bitcoin should also be strong, but it's a little tentative right now. The euro US dollar would be very strong against, of course, we just looked at against a weak US dollar. And GBP US dollar would be strong against a weak US dollar. So nice opportunities in these plays here. So there's for what we're looking for here at S123, this setup here is exactly what we're looking for all the time. This is off the hourly time frame. This can occur on any time frame. We primarily trade off the 1 minute time frame, but the hourly time frame, this would be the exact same setup. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for sweeps over the previous lows, moves back up and retraces, and entry into the retrace, and moves to previous highs. That's essentially the plan of attack. So this is a really nice setup here on the 1, 2, 3 bottom on British pound versus US dollar, and that would be probably identical on the euro US dollar, and it is, and even a better setup on the euro US dollar in the sense that it did this move up in a lot more confirming way for that 1, 2, 3 way, confirming because we got the sweep, and then we moved up and swept the previous highs to the left, then got the retrace back into a gap, and that gives us a nice entry to the upside back to previous highs. So that is a really nice setup there on the euro US dollar. Let me see how that compares to the Aussie US dollar. It's kind of interesting to kind of see how they, so you can see the different. Aussie's a little weaker. So we got this similar sweep and push up and retrace back in, but the move to the upside has been not as strong on the Aussie. So that would probably be the same for the New Zealand US dollar. And it is. You can see this it's a little stronger on New Zealand US dollar, but not by much. So conversely, the pairs that would be you'd be looking to go short with would be USD CAD. Let me see if I can find them. USD CAD would be weak. USD Swiss would be weak, very weak compared to USD CAD. And USD JPY would also be weak, and it is. Oil, another, would be also a little bit weak against the strong. Oh no, the US dollar is weak, so oil should actually be going the opposite way, but it's not. Interesting. How about, let's look at gold. Gold is strong against a weak US dollar, and that would be what we'd be looking for there. So that's a nice setup there as well. So again, a similar pattern here. We sweep, get our 1, 2, 3, and we're off. Okay, so that's what we're looking for. Like I say, when we're trading. Quick look at Tesla. Let's see what Tesla did this morning here. And it looks like we opened and came down. Went up first, but immediately came back down. So I'm gonna go drop down a little closer. So at 9:30 this morning, we opened up high, chopped around, and now we're dropping back. So why are we dropping? It would be the question. So let's go back up to the hourly. Maybe the 4 hour. Okay, we're in a downward mode here for Tesla. So we should be getting a bounce at this point here. It looks like we've come back into this previous gap over here. So we're looking for a bounce here, but will we get it or will it continue going down? It looks like it still has a little bit of weakness here. So this could portend further drops here. It's possible we could chop up and down in here and drop some more. So we have to be careful about that. So Peter, I thought I saw Peter with us. I guess he's not here anymore.
Good morning, good afternoon.
He was here a moment ago. Yeah. So very choppy there on Tesla, for sure. All right. Let's see what else. What else do we look at here? Let's go back to the NAS. So the NAS is taking quite a drop here as well. Let me go up to the 4-hour. And this is an expected move here because we did bounce off support at this point. We pushed all the way up. Now we're retracing this move. So either we're going to be turning around to go back up, or we're going to continue straight down to take out these lows again. So which one will it be? Very choppy looking chart here. I'm going to go to the daily. So this is the overall look of the chart that I've got this all marked up as, yeah, I'm not even going to get into it because it's a bit messy. This is just my analysis of what I think this could do at this point here, because we've swept all these lows. We could see this being a support area and a possible turnaround to continue to the upside. That's my take on it at this point. But looking on the daily candles, the previous candle, we've come up above it. Now the current candle we've opened and we've come back down. So unless we put a brakes on in this area, it's possible we could come further down. But I would think that this should start to turn, and we should start getting a move back up to take out the highs of this daily candle. So that's what I would be looking at. So I'm going to mark the top of this candle as my target for a turnaround. And I'll be looking to get into this trade on the lower time frame right imminently here. So 4-hour, we've come back down. Let me just get rid of this guy. The chip's not. Move. Oh, I've locked that for a reason. So I better check why I've locked that 1 hour. Oh, I know why I locked that. Okay, this is the opening from Sunday opening. I'm going to keep that there. I'm going to lock it again. Lock it back. Okay, so this. All right, so now we can see on the hourly, at this point, we have a low, we have a 1, 2, 3 bottom, move up. Looks like we've done 5 waves, A, B, C. We're sweeping these lows. We're coming back into perhaps this gap here. And that could give us a nice turnaround to go back to the upside to take profits up here. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. So I'm going to mark off this gap here because this is the last line of defense, essentially. That price will likely come down to. There is an order block here as well. And this current gap, we're just at the bottom of it. So I would expect us to continue down a little further. I'm going to drop down to the 30-minute. So looking at this leg here, we're coming down. So I'm looking for a turnaround. Go back to the hourly for 1 second. I want to make sure I've got that correct. It looks pretty good. Okay, so 30 minutes. There's a 30-minute gap as well, a large one. So looking for price to come into this hourly gap. On the 15-minute, there we are. So there's the gap. Looking for price to come. There's also a 15-minute gap. So it is possible for us to go through the hourly and come down into the 15-minute gap. So I'm going to mark that one as well. But the hourly gap right now takes precedence. So I will keep that one as the one that will give us the bounce here. Okay, now down to the 5-minute. So now I'm kind of getting to see a little more detail. So this was a 1, 2, and then a drop, and then a chop in a fourth wave, and then we get this chop in the fifth wave. So we're coming to a point where a turnaround might be imminent. All right, so that's what I'm looking at. So on the 1 minute, we'll be looking for a turnaround. So nothing as yet, and to get to my target area is right here. So if we can come down a little further and get a 1, 2, 3 here, then we're good to go. So that's what I would be looking for. All right, now let me take a look at Bitcoin. Good evening, Martin. Glad to see you with us.
Good morning, good afternoon, gentlemen.
Right. So we are alive on YouTube at the moment, and for those who are joining me for the first time on YouTube, welcome, and do give us a thumbs up if any of this makes sense to you. This is live trading, and things are moving as we speak, and we watch it from the 1 minute time frame or less to see what's taking place. I'm going to go to the daily and look at Bitcoin here, and I'm going to go to the weekly and take a look at Bitcoin because I need to see a little bit more of what's going on overall. Okay, that makes more sense now. All right, so on the weekly, what I've got is this move here to the upside, very choppy area, fourth wave-ish, and drop right down into that gap. Perfectly amazing, right to the center of that gap. On the weekly time frame, big bounce back up. So it looked like we were doing pretty good here and that we would, possibly take off out of there. However, we always expect if we get a move off a support area that we get a retrace. So, and then we'd go. That gives us what we're looking for, our 1, 2, 3 bottom. So this move back down is an expected move. So on the daily time frame, we come right to dead center of that gap, and we make this big bounce. So we would expect a retrace of that move. Where are we going to retrace to is the question. So currently on the daily, there was an inverted gap right there, but we were looking to break through that inversion gap. So there's nothing else except for an order block way down here that we can come down to. So let's go down to the 4 hour, make these bars a little bigger. And the 4 hour candles are telling a story. The previous candle opened, took out the previous high and dropped, and now this candle opens. So it looks like we're going to take out the previous low. And that's what's happening right now. It is the 10 o'clock candle currently. So we just opened on the 10 o'clock candle. So this is I should say the 1 o'clock. It's 1 o'clock Eastern time. So there it is. We've just opened. We've gone up a little bit, and now we're dropping. So the play on this would be in this area here. I'm going to just mark that for an entry. So dropping down to the hourly, the play entry would be in here. We're looking to go to the downside. So where are we going is the question, right? So where are we going on this move down? And that's always the interesting part. So I can look at a retracement from this high. Retracement that could take us back down in the 50 to 62% area. This would be in here. We also have a gap here. So there's a big gap right at the 50% level. There are other smaller gaps down at 62%. So price could come to this area, or it could come into this area. We do have a 1, 2, 3 top. So it's looking like we certainly will come down, maybe even take out this low here. So lots of moves to the downside to come on the hourly. Here we can see it a lot better. We've got a clean 1, 2, 3 here, and we're another one, and we're looking to fall. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark that 1 hour, that 4 hour gap. This one right here. Oops, this one right here. And for a possible first stop, and then the lower one, this is at the 50% area, and then there's one at 62% right here. I'm just going to mark those so that I have an idea when I'm near them, when I'm in them, or near them. Yes, okay, so those two. All right, so dropping to the hourly, looking for price to come into this first gap, and if we go cut through that, then the next gap down. And this would make sense that it's possible that we come down and take out these equal lows, and that would be a sweep. And then we could see a turnaround to go back up with our 1, 2, 3 bottom that we're looking for. So we'll have a 1, 2, 3 top that started this move, another one, and now this drop. So we're looking for another drop here. All right, on the 30-minute, get a little closer look at what's going on. So going to move to the downside. On the 15-minute, so if we wanted to enter, this would have been the area of the 4 hour wick to enter. On the 5-minute, there we go. That's the same kind of thing. We want to be entering on the wick. So price opened over here and then moved up. So an entry anywhere in this area would have been giving us that play to the downside. And then on the 1 minute, we can see it a lot better. So again, price opened over here and moved up, and then gave us a 1, 2, 3. And so that would have been a nice entry there to catch this move to the downside. So that's what we're looking for again, that 1, 2, 3 movement and down. Even these are plays at this point too, at the top. If I just make this a little smaller right here, price made 1, 2, 3, another 1, 2, 3. So entries for a move to the upside on both of those would have worked. The first 1, 2, 3 here also would work, and that 1, 2, 3 would work, and that drop. So no play right now. We're looking for, this train has left the station, as it were. And so there's no play currently until such time that we get a 1, 2, 3 turnaround. So, all right, so that's what it looks like on Bitcoin. So we just have to be patient and wait for price to come down. I'm going to keep this on the 15. No, I can't even see it on the 15, on the 30 to see when we get close to these turnaround areas here. Okay, NASDAQ again. All right, we're coming very close to our turnaround area for the NAS. So I'm going to go back down to the 1 minute. All right, so there we go. We got our 1, 2, 3 top, big drop. So it looks like we still could drop further. So no play currently. So here's our target area. So another drop into here. Of course, we could slide up and down in here for a while before we finally drop it. Looking for something. So a little patience here, and we'll see how this plays out. Well, someone posted that Microsoft will be shutting down Skype. So they're just pushing Teams, I would think, then.
Do they automatically move us over?
I'm not sure how that works. I'd have to read up on that. I just saw that for the first time.
Yeah, I saw that notice you guys had there on last week. So I read up on that. Can you hear me? Yeah. And so the deal is they're shutting down Skype in May, early May, I think it is. And they are providing an option or a tool on, I think it's Teams or Skype, I don't know which, where you can migrate all your conversations, media, and contacts over to Teams.
Okay.
And also, if you don't want to go with Teams, you can export everything and use it for however you want to use it as an export. However, my experience in exporting is the file is a JSON file. It's, to me, is gobbledygook. It's a computer programming language. So I would not like to go with that route, and I doubt they would change that because they want to promote people going over to,
of course,
Teams where they can make good use of the data.
Of course.
Are they going to automatically move us over, Calvin?
No, it's a procedure you need to go through. And I suppose if you Google keywords, Skype migration Teams, an article would likely come up showing you how to do that. Or maybe even a YouTube, you could do that and say how to.
Interesting.
How to migrate Skype Teams. So Lennox, I was thinking about that after being there. You might consider a day in which you give everybody a fair warning notice that maybe 2 weeks from the day you're going to switch over to Teams.
Yeah, I just Googled migration Skype to Teams, and there's a moving from Skype to Microsoft Teams free Microsoft support. May 5th, Skype will be retired. This change will affect both free and paid Skype users. Skype users have the option to move to Microsoft Teams free, which offers many of the same core stuff.
Okay. So I better get. I've been getting all these ads for Teams and so forth, so I should check it out to see how to get familiar with it. Anyways, it's something for Vic to consider on his end with the YouTube and so forth as well.
So Lennox, while I have you here, I have a question. In the conversation earlier, you mentioned the word a streak, I think it was.
Mention what?
Is that a streak?
A streak.
Yeah.
What's that?
I don't know. I think it was I think that's the word you used. That sound familiar?
Hmm?
I think
Regarding?
it was where the chart was going, where the price was going. I think it was what you were meaning, where it's a continuation of the same direction. Is that?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, this is what's happening right now with NAS and Bitcoin. I'm looking for the continuation of the move. So
Okay, maybe it's the same thing, continuation, and it's, but
so we're coming into that gap area that I marked off. So be looking now for a possible turnaround for NASDAQ. And we can also take a look at S&P to see how it's performing at the same point, and it's all identical as well. So we'll be looking for a turnaround now. Now that we've got our structure, we're looking for our structure, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 waves down. So this could be a bottom or very close to it. And now we'll be looking for a 1, 2, 3 bottom to take us out, which basically gives us an inverted head and shoulders type pattern. Or they call it sell side, and then we get buy side. So we're looking for the buy side to push back to the upside. So Bitcoin also is getting very close to and touching, very close to touching that that gap. Here's the gap that I've marked off right there. And this is the midpoint of the gap.
Sorry.
I believe that. Sorry.
Okay, so sorry, I missed that. What is the indicator for the gap? Is that
So
a different time frame?
Yeah, let me go back. I think it was on the hourly here, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. So I've got this gap over here.
Okay, right.
And now prices, and I've marked it off. So there's the gap, and I'm looking at the midpoint. The dotted line is the midpoint of the gap. So it's possible price could come down to the midpoint of the gap, or they could just touch the gap. They could touch the gap and bounce, or they could come into the middle of the gap and bounce, or they could even go through with a wick and then come back in. And, there's a number of ways they can do this, but what we can do is to look at the current leg here, current range, to see how it's reacting. So our best bet is to go back down to this level on the 1 minute time frame, and we can kind of gauge by the structure if we're done at this point. So I can see, a 1, 2 here, but I really don't see a 3, 4 yet. So we could still drop another time in further down into the gap. It's a little different on the NAS. So
okay, hold on, Lennox.
Mm-hmm.
I recall you saying that if it drops below that gap, then that's like the institutional guys taking out all the guys who place their stops, takes them out. Right? It goes below that gap.
Not necessarily stops at that point, but it's just a lot of orders there, right?
Well, I just mean when you use the term, going to take out those retail guys. If it goes below that gap, is that right?
Yeah, if I go back here, looking at this is a gap. It's just a bunch of orders sitting in here, supposedly. So, or lack thereof, in the sense that because it was a gap that was going up, that means there was an absence of sellers. Now the sellers have come back in. So this gap was green, which means it was a bullish gap. So there were buyers only, because what we had was a candle, and then another candle in the middle, and then another candle here without them touching. So this gap is there, and there were only buyers in here. There were no sellers. So price would more than likely come back down eventually to offer the sellers a chance to get in. That's why they call it a fair value gap. It gives them a fair chance to get into this and pick up some orders. So now we can see how we've reacted there. So I'm going to go back down to the 1 minute. So we came in to almost to the midpoint of that gap. So again, it was all buyers going to the upside. No sellers got a chance to get in, and now prices come all the way back down and giving sellers a chance to participate. So we're looking now to buy at this point. Let's see if that will work out for us here. I still don't see an opportunity at this point yet.
So opportunity would mean not only price, but also the length of the candle, which, like, if it's really long, then you know it's going to be going that way, either up or down.
Not necessarily length of candles. What we're looking for is a structure. We're looking for a structure move that gives us our 1, 2, 3.
No, I'm just speaking and trying to predict how far down it'll go before it turns back.
Yeah, and what we do is to look at the structure again. So what our structure is on the way down is this structure, and on the way up, our structure is the opposite. So that's all I'm looking for in order to make a trade.
Okay.
Looking for that structure to play out. I want to get in at that point. So we've been coming down, with the structure, we've been coming down. So the structure is like that, and like this, like that, like that. So we're very close to the bottom of that move. And now I'm looking for that turnaround. So ideally, and what the ICT traders have been taught, is that you look for the sweep. There is a sweep right here of the previous lows. So that means there were buyers here. All the buyers sitting here have now been taken out because price has moved up and it's taken them out here. At this point, they took them all out. So now, once we've got them taken out, we've dropped into this gap. And the price is really respecting this gap so far in the sense that we haven't, it's sort of kind of closed a little bit below, but nothing dramatic. It's not a huge closure, but it looks like we could fall a bit more here. Looks like we want to come down a bit more into the next gap below. So right now I can see that we have a 1, 2, 3, 4. So it looks like we're going to fall one more time down into the middle of the. There are 2 gaps here, and that's. So if I go back to the hourly, just to make it clear what I'm talking about, there I have 2 gaps marked. One on the hourly, and I believe one is on the 15 minutes. So the 15-minute gap, it looks like we're coming into as well. So the hourly gap we're in right now. Now I'm looking for a price to drop through, take out this low, and then give me a turnaround to go back up. This is the same thing I'm looking for in Bitcoin. So Bitcoin has made the move. We're right at the top of the gap on Bitcoin. There's the midpoint. The midpoint is the dashed line. There's the midpoint of the gap. We've made this move here. We've come down. We've swept all the buyers. And now we're making that 1, 2 here. So is this the time to get in? Possibly, but we also have to be careful because this could also be a fake out, and they could just chop it around and drop it one more time. So have to be a little careful. It's not looking like a nice setup that I'm looking for at this point. I'd like to see them break above that high first and give me a move like that. They don't have to break above that high, but that would be more of a confirmation of a 1, 2, 3 bottom. I have the sweep, so that's one confirmation. a break above the previous high would be a second confirmation. So I don't have that. So it is possible for them to take out these equal lows first.
I'm going to go to the linear crossing.
Sure.
So it looks like that's what's happening. They are actually taking out the equal lows here. I'm just going to look at this whole move again. So the move now looks more like what I'm looking for. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we could be very close to a turnaround point, but we can be patient and wait for a move that takes us back above this high and gives us the 1, 2, 3 at this point. That would be the ideal scenario. In the ideal scenario on NASDAQ, now that we've come down, we've broken that low again. So now we would be looking for a 1, 2, 3 that takes out this high and gives us that move like that. So now my risk becomes very small from, if I can get in on a trade like that, that would be the ideal. I got to keep my eyes on both of these guys to see which one's going to do it first. Got 10 more minutes and we come into a macro time at 10 minutes to the hour. And then at 2 o'clock Eastern, there is the algo time. So.
Okay, I remember the word now, Lennox. It's not streak, it's sweep.
Yes, the sweep. So the sweep this is like a sweep here. Lots of buyers sitting here. They got swept. And now we have a sweep here. Buyers again jumping in early. They got swept here. So we're looking for a sweep to the upside now. I'd like to see price take out those guys. These are sellers here. And we have sellers sitting here. So if we can get a 1, 2, 3 at this point after this last sweep right here, and that will give us a nice entry to go. Okay, we've swept the high, but I'd like to see a closure above the high. That would be ideal. So I'm looking for at least 3 check marks. So number 1, sweep, we got that. Number 2 is a sweep, but that's good, but I'd like to see a closure above. That would give me a double check mark. And then a retrace back in. That would be my 4th check mark. And that's enough for me to say, yes, I want to take that trade at that point. So let's see if we can get a candle closing above this high. Now I like to get in even earlier. I like to get in at this point because it's doing the same thing that I'm showing you currently, but it's just doing it on a more minute level down on the macro level, down on the 10-second chart or the 15 seconds chart. You will see the same thing unfolding at that level. So the one problem with waiting for this setup is that you might not get a retrace, but there is a gap there. So I'm looking for that retrace back to the gap to give us that move. But sometimes they'll do this and they'll get out of there real quick without giving you a chance to get in. So that's the one problem that can occur. So let's see if we get a retrace back into that gap, and that would be my buy. We're very close. So I'm going to it looks like it's going to drop down and touch that gap. And we have
Where would you
it
stop
there.
from?
So I am in on that trade at that point.
Mhm.
So now
And
where
what's your
do
stop?
I put my stop? I would put my stop below the candle that made the gap. So let me make this a little bigger so everybody can see exactly what I'm doing, because so we had a sweep of the low. So we had stops here because people who are buying thinking this is the bottom would put their stops below. So they push price up and then come down and sweep that low. Now we get to push up and we sweep this high. We close above as well. So I've got 2 check marks, and we have a gap right here. And price has come back into the gap. That's perfect. I get another check mark. The closure above is also, and the sweep right here is also a check mark. So now my stop I can place my stop at the candle right here that started the gap, which is that one. So I would put my stop right there on below that candle, and that's my risk. And let's see now, where would I go for target? I can target the previous high, way back up here, long way. And we're off. And Bitcoin is also doing the same thing right now. Bitcoin is doing exactly the same thing. So we get the sweep. We can get a move up. The only difference is that we haven't taken out this high over here. So we're getting a quicker move here for Bitcoin. And this would be an entry on the retrace. It's just that we're not getting a sweep to the upside. The sweep, we'd have to wait for that sweep here. You don't have to wait for that sweep there, but there's also an inverted gap here. So price is hovering inside this inverted gap here. And this is a good entry at that point. Possibly, and I say possibly because it is a little flat here. So they could take this out one more time just to be mean. They like to do that. So you take a risk by jumping in. So it's ideal. The ideal is best to wait for price to break above that previous high and close above it, because then that gives you a more confidence in the setup. You can see they are looking to take out that low again. So I don't like this setup because of that. So they're sweeping again. So that would mean that the NAS is coming back down a little bit as well. And they are. So is it possible that they can take out this low in here? Yes, it's possible. I didn't want to put my stop at the low because of that. I wanted to put it at the candle that started the gap. So if I'm wrong, that's, they're going to more than likely take out that low. So that's a good move there. Okay.
So, Lennox, did you get out yet, or?
I'm going to take a partial right now because I've got a nice move. So I'm going to take a quick partial on that. Okay, so now I'm good. So that's a beautiful move out of there, and I can now move my stop into almost positive here. I won't put it right at positive, but I can't really see anything under there. So that's a nice move and gives me some nice profit on that.
Okay. So with your partial, you got everything out that you've put in so far, so now it's all profit?
Yeah, I got quite a nice profit on that move, actually. It's probably, let's see how much it was here. I got $2,500 on that. So that's really nice.
Okay, and
that's just a partial.
Technicality, where do you see on the screen that it's 2,500? Is that too small for me? I'm on my phone, so.
Yeah, I was just looking at the history of my trades.
Okay.
Here. Yeah.
Got it.
So.
And are you trading on a leverage like 10-to-1? I think it is what they offered there with my.
I'm not sure what the leverage
trading.
is on. I'm not sure what the leverage is on here. I don't even pay attention to that kind of stuff, really. It's just, just trading, right? So.
Man, your sense of simple is just so awesome. It's surprising, and it's a relief.
Yeah, I mean,
it
is a simple thing, and we do complicate it, and then we mess ourselves up. I'm guilty. I've done. I do stupid things, and but this is, if you do it this way, what I just showed everyone here, this is the way to do it. If you can be patient and wait, this can work for you. But if you want to cut corners and things like that I do it sometimes, it can cost you, right? But I'm always confident I can make my losses back. So that's the number one key thing. If you're not confident you can make your losses back, then you can't afford to be diverging from the rules. The rules are there for a reason. The rules can be bent and so forth, but they shouldn't be broken. And if you break them, then you're going to pay the consequences, right? So this is a very simple concept in that I'm looking for a structure move. I'm looking for a breach of the structure move. So this is where the sweep comes in. And I'm looking for a move back up. So I'm getting two sweeps, looking for a retrace back in and the move out. And this is it. This is what we're looking for all the time. If you can be patient and wait for it, it'll work. Like I said, I like to get in early. So I could have got in early on that in here, right at that point, because it is doing the same thing right there. What I'm just showing you here, it's doing exactly the same thing at that point. It's just that you can't see it. If you went down to the seconds chart, would you be able to see that? So this is where ICT does that. He gets in on the seconds chart at the levels where people don't see what he's doing. So for example, right, what I have circled right here on the seconds chart is right here. So the same thing is occurring on a bigger scale. So if I look at it, there's the sweep right there. They drop down. So I want to sweep up here. They do that here. It retraces. That's your entry. So that's why I could enter early, in here, because I can see that that's what's the same thing that's going on. However, on the 1 minute, if you're playing on the 1 minute, you have to patiently wait for the 1 minute move, which is the same thing. You see?
Okay, so that second chart is how many minutes?
I believe I'm on 10 seconds, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just see. I'm on 10 seconds there, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the NAS. Okay, so let me see what Bitcoin did. See, Bitcoin should be doing similar. Okay, so Bitcoin now again, we've swept, you see? And then we've swept here, we've closed above, so I got checks, check, check. We retraced back in. There are no gaps in here, however, but this would be a buy opportunity on Bitcoin at this point. There is a gap, actually. There's a small, no, that's not, I wouldn't call that a gap. No, it's very close though. It's going the wrong way. So no gaps, just an order block, and we're inside an order block. So we're getting that retrace. So now normally what I'm looking for is so there's a fractal being formed here. So that poses an entry on Bitcoin at this point. So I could take the risk in getting on Bitcoin right there. The only thing is my stop is going to be a bit high because I have to go all the way down here for my stop. So if they're not done and they still want to come down and get you one more time, which is likely, not likely, but possible. It's possible, but they've swept here. So these guys should be safe now. We should be okay here. Possibly here. So it's looking pretty good on Bitcoin. Let me just see if that's worthwhile for an entry. I'm looking for a, if I put my fib on this move, we want a retrace of about, let me get rid of this guy. Don't like this guy. Let me remove that. Maybe use this one. So I would be looking for a retrace of approximately 50%. And that's what we're getting right now. So we're down in the 50% area of retrace from the high to the low. So we're right in the sweet spot area. So if we're going to be wanting to get out of here, this would be a time to be looking to buy. So I want to get a fractal here. I want to see a low, a higher low on either side for an entry. And then I would use that as my entry.
Not right now. All right. Thank you.
Let's see Bitcoin here. So I'll wait another 30 seconds for the next candle to form. That will give me a fractal here, hopefully. And that would give me an entry opportunity. I don't have to wait for the next candle, but it's probably a good idea to wait for the next candle because the next candle could possibly open lower. I don't want to see that. I want the next candle to open higher. So here we go. Let's see if we can go above this current candle. So if we can go above this candle, and we haven't. So that was a good thing to wait because they can do that. They can take out that low. And they could possibly take out this low. So we might not be completely done on Bitcoin yet. So this is where the patience and waiting for this pattern to unfold comes in very handy. Patience is number one. And I'm usually a little impatient. So I'm usually wanting to get in early on these trades, and it can cost me because they can take this low out again. Looked like a really nice setup here because we had the sweep. We had the sweep here. We had a closure above. So we got 3 check marks, and then we get a retrace. So they still haven't taken this low out. So it's still possible that we could go. Still possible, or they can be mean and spike it down with a wick and take everybody out and then go. So let's just see what they do here. It's looking like we should get another drop below this low.
Hello?
How's my NAS doing? No, I'm still alive. Okay. So NAS is still holding on.
Looks like it's working on a wave 4 type motion at this point.
Yeah, I've got a gap right there. So looking for that to continue pushing up. I'm going to move my stop into positive now. That way I don't lose on this trade whatsoever. put it just below this bar here. Okay, so I could move it up to this level, but again, they could come back down and take you out. So I'd like to see them go above here and close above. Same kind of thing we're looking for, like here. You always want to see them close above a previous high, and then you get a retrace back. That's okay. So Bitcoin is looking like maybe that they're done here, but so here we did get a closure above the high, so that's a good sign, and it looks like we could get a gap
That's
here.
Going, is it? That's NAS.
Yeah, the NAS here. Yeah. I've got the Bitcoin on another screen. That's why I'm saying Bitcoin. Okay, so Bitcoin looking like they didn't want to break that low. Interesting. And this could be a buy at this point for Bitcoin. So I'm going to take a risk play. The risk is very small at this point because I am very close to the lows. So if I'm going to get a loss, it's not going to be as dramatic. So let's see if we can get a push out on Bitcoin here to the upside. Since they didn't take this low, kind of thinking maybe they might want to go up. Now, they did not go above. They did go above, but they didn't close above here. I'd like to see them close above. So I could be in some jeopardy there, but let's see if we can get a push out of here on Bitcoin.
We're in algo time.
Oh, wait.
NAS is doing nicely now, so I can move my stop up a little bit to this. And we're in algo time indeed. Okay, so Bitcoin is making a nice little move out. So I'm going to take something off on Bitcoin right now. Half of that off. And then bring my stop right up underneath this candle to lessen my loss. And let's see if we can continue pushing out on Bitcoin here. So looking good. Closed above that high. Got an order block there, so we could touch that and continue. That would be the ideal. And we did just that. I'd like to see them move a little faster out of here. It's always a little disconcerting when they hang around for so long. So let's see if they can push out of there quicker. This could mean that we're inside a choppy affair here, and they could still drop it down one more time. So I might take that into consideration. And NAS is moving very nicely, so that's beautiful. So I can bring my stop up a bit more. Under, could come up right up under here. I don't want to go up too tight on it, but have my target set for the highs there. So if everything works, should be able to hit those targets. I actually have equal highs here. I could even set my target for those equal highs, but this is fine, this level here. On Friday, I was using all those DeMark lines. I won't be doing that anymore. I'm going to stick to the 1, 2, 3 setup.
NAS is looking very good.
Mm-hmm. The S&P and the NAS are essentially identical. Yeah.
I would say that the NAS is in a minor retrace right now. I don't expect it to be very deep. Bitcoin, though, is still
Bitcoin is struggling a little bit to get out for whatever reason. I'm not sure why. I thought we would be leaving, but you can see it's a bit choppy, so we could fall back. So what I've done is I've moved my stop to break even, just a little bit above break even. So if I get taken out, that's fine. It's a bit choppy here. They're not really pushing out in a hurry. I thought we would get a nice move out. But
yeah, it tried to move out, but it was too much of a struggle, so it's back.
We do have a nice structure. We have a nice 1-2, and we're getting another 1-2. We can still push out of there. We have to come up. We have to close above this guy here. But it is a bit of a struggle. The one thing I hate to do is to close this, and then of course it takes off, to the upside. I'm not liking the play on this. It's just not going as quickly as I would like. So I might just close it for some profits here, and watch. As soon as I close it, it's going to take off, I'm sure. So it looks like they could come back down, take these guys out, maybe take these guys out. If they do take these guys out, then it's more than likely possible for them to take the last ones out too. So
yeah, it's in a mode where I would call it an indecision, but it's more of a tendency to down.
yeah, we're very flat, so we're chopping up and down. So
Wave 4 type positions.
So not liking it. And that's where our 7-candle rule would have come into play already.
Yep.
We get in at this point and we count 7 candles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to here. And we haven't crossed above our number 2 point. So this is our number 1 point, our number 2 point, our number 3 point. If we haven't crossed above our number 2 point after 7 candles, we should exit the trade. So that's one of the rules that we have. But I gave it 8, 9, 10, 11 candles, and it still hadn't crossed. So much gave it a lot extra, and we still couldn't get out of here. So if we can't get out of here in that amount of time, and
trades.
yeah, it's time to exit. So we could continue falling one more time here. That's possible. We could also take off too. So, either way it could go, because we do have a legitimate setup here. So, we do have a legitimate 1, 2, 3 bottom. However, the only question is, are they just playing around to keep everybody in here, or are they going to take off?
They're trying again to push above, but
If I get a closure above this high, I can still wait for the retrace here and get in at that point. So it's the same thing as we're doing here, looking for that retrace closure above the high to go. So we're not getting much of an algo on the Bitcoin, but on NASDAQ is doing quite nicely here.
yeah.
So I can move my stop up a little bit again. I just put it just below that candle there. Just lock in about 1,000 or so. So quite a distance still to go to target. So this would just be a continued move to the chop to the upside here. It's 11:11. A little bit of a hiccup here. They might take that low, or they'll just continue. So yeah, Bitcoin is very flat. So able to make some profits in there, but you can see it's quite flat. So I've got basically a 1, 2 here, and then this drop. So it just puts us into this flat area. Thought maybe the sweep might have been enough to propel us out, but we could certainly come down one more time below the midpoint of the gap. So
Yeah, I have it still weak on the Bitcoin. On the NASDAQ, the 3-minute Heikin-Ashi is just showing that we're gaining weakness, and it's we might be due for a rest right now.
how's Tesla doing now? Tesla's trying to make a move out, eh? Yeah. So we came down, and this again, it's the same type of setup.
Tesla's doing a resting point right now too.
Same setup in Tesla. You get the sweep.
So if you're in Tesla, it would seem to me it's probably a good time to take off some.
Here's our move up, move back down, entry, and another one, entry. So they sweep again. That's a beautiful move there. You could have taken profits there. Retrace back in, another entry, back up again, looking to sweep that one and continue. So Tesla's really nice setups in here. 285 to 289, 4 points, not bad. So I don't know if Peter's taking advantage of those moves or not. Okay, NASDAQ is doing a turn. So I could get stopped out here at this point. That's fine. Made nice profits in any case. But I'd like to see it continue bouncing. We do have a gap here, and it's been mitigated, so we should bounce off that and continue. Unless they just wick it and get me. And they can do that because they're wicked.
I think NAS might be in a bit of trouble.
If I can get back above this candle, that'd be great.
Are you still in that?
Still in the NAS, but just hanging on by a thread right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm
I
showing.
don't really want to move my stop. I'll take the
No,
loss.
I wouldn't move it. I think, well, I guess I would have taken that one a little bit earlier and wait for longer retrace.
All right, so we're getting a drop on Bitcoin below the lows.
Bitcoin is in trouble.
Yeah, so that's what I thought we were, because we couldn't get out of here, you know, within 7 candles. This was an expected move that we would, you know, come back and take out the lows. So they've done that. So that's that for
So that they're
Bitcoin.
finished on that, yeah. Was that Queen Anne's lace that you just showed?
I'm not sure what that plant flower is.
For a second.
You know what that flower is, George?
I'm not sure about it, but
Very pretty. Okay, so we've cut down below. So we're getting a sweep. And I'd have to wait again for, you know, a 1, 2, 3 at this
a
point.
little bit further too, yeah. It's hard to tell at this point.
We could go a lot lower here because I do have a 1, 2, 3 at this point, so we can come down a bit further.
Exactly.
And NASDAQ might be ready to stop me out now. Oh, it's already taken me out. Okay, so yeah, so this is okay. I kept my stop at that level. I think it was up here actually. So yeah, so I got stopped out, but it was positive. You know, I made a grand on a little over a grand on that. So that, just in case they did that. So we came all the way back up to this level on this 1, 2, 3 bottom. So that's a nice move. And you know, yeah, I'd expect it to continue going up, but it doesn't mean it's going to do it all in one go. They do this kind of thing. So locking in profits, not so bad. All right, so I can always look to get back in again because that's the beauty of the game. We come back into a gap here. So I'll be looking again for a turnaround move, 1, 2, 3 to continue. And that's how we play. What I can do here is this is GBP, JPY, and the Euro JPY. Euro JPY on the left, GBP JPY on the right, and if you're playing the Forex, you want to be watching for divergences. Yeah. In this case, no divergence at this point, so they're both on the 15-minute. They're both doing the same thing. So, but sometimes you get divergence. You'll get a lower low here. You get a divergence like that. The same kind of thing we watch out for with the NASDAQ and the S&P. What I want to do is to get, I've got the NASDAQ and Tesla, and the NASDAQ and Tesla are usually in tandem, and you can get divergences. So there's a divergence right there on the NAS and Tesla right there. So it's saying that Tesla at this point is much stronger than the NAS is. They weren't able to come down and take out this low while the NAS came down and took out that low. So Tesla is a little stronger at this point. Doesn't mean that it still can't come down and take out that low, though. That's still possible.
I'm seeing a nice.
I want to put Bitcoin here.
I see a nice pin bar on Tesla. My Bitcoin trying to get out, but I don't think it's quite out of the hole yet.
No, we're still heading down. We do have a 1, 2, 3 here, so we're heading down a little further. Could have played this to the downside actually, but
one thing I noticed, Lennox, is that last week our VIX was at in the 20s, 20.0 to 20.6, as I recall. Now we're up to 21.3. So we have a lot more volatility beginning this week. Where the fear and greed is up, however you want to put it.
Well, I think, if I'm looking at the NASDAQ or S&P, let me go to the S&P as an example. Looking at the S&P, go to the weekly time frame. We've had quite a run to the upside here. And it's looking like, we're starting to chop a little bit. So we could do this kind of chop and maybe even come back down before we can, if we're going to continue, that is. And, it's an if, because you never know, anything can happen, right?
Yeah, my active trader on, actually on Tesla right now, I'm looking at, there's a lot of volume above the current level. So, in fact, right where we are right now, the volume is 265,000 shares. Let me see what the NAS is doing.
Very choppy here. We could certainly hang around in here for a while, or we could drop through.
Seems as though we have volume north, more volume north than we have south on the NAS. Bitcoin is given an effort of trying to turn back up right now.
And that still has more to drop because we're just in a fourth wave. So
that could easily be. I'm just seeing first signs of it trying to peak above, get some strength in.
The similar story with the S&P and the NAS. We're in this very choppy affair here on the daily, and it is possible for them to come down again one more time and sweep these lows over here.
Definitely
we have swept these ones here, so you would think that we wouldn't come back down here to take this one out, but anything's possible, of course.
There's almost railroad tracks in the last 2 minutes. Oh, that's Tesla.
So again, I was looking at this as a bottom. So there's our sweep to get this move up, retrace, looking for this to go. However, it is still, a possibility that we could get a drop to take out these lows again. But because we've swept here, I would think that maybe that should be good enough to give us a bottom here, and that will turn us around.
It looks
But
like
no guarantees on that. It's looking pretty good though. I kind of like it. You know, again, big sweep.
NAS is showing very
Push up.
positive upward movement right now. It's trying to get above the
30.
positive territory.
Yeah, this looks like we could be done here. I've got a nice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We could be done, and we should be pushing
That's what
back
I'm
to the
looking
upside.
at. I think we're getting a positive move to the upside now.
Came right into that gap here. So that's looking pretty good here. I think that maybe we might be looking for continuation to the upside here. Possibly. I say possibly because they're mean and they can still come down and take this low out one more time just to and give us a sweep again. So we're never really out of the woods. You know, I'd like to see a proper sweep. So they still have one more drop possibility here on the S&P. And see how that compares to the NAS. And it's identical. So we could certainly drop one more time here, George, and take out these lows. That might be in line with the Bitcoin dropping one more time to take out its lows. Yeah. So cannot say that we're completely done yet. So this might have been just a counter trend move that I just caught.
Yeah, it was making a gallant move up, but it seems as though the bears came in and said, nah, you're not going to go that far. Let's see, okay. However, Bitcoin seems to be still quite positive.
All right, so I can see clearly now that we have a 1, 2, 3, a 4. So we're coming down. We're going to take out these lows. We're coming back down. The question is, do we take out all these lows? Or do we just come down to maybe this order block and turn around? That would be the big question right here. So we're going to drop through this low here one more time.
Oh, you're talking about that order block. Oh, okay. It looks like
right
it
here.
Hit that order block in my future.
So here we come.
Still coming down.
There's a gap here as well. So I'm just going to mark this up. I've got a gap here. So it is possible for us to come touch this gap and bounce, which is also a part of the order block. So we could get this move and bounce. If we fail to bounce, then next stop is the lows, to take out the lows. Don't want to really see that. I'd like to see them turn around here, but we'll see.
We're going down pretty far.
So this would have been a nice sell at this point, but I wasn't really looking. I thought perhaps we were done here and we could continue going up, even on a retrace, but not happening.
Sell mode though.
All right, so we're very close here to taking out this low. Martin, are you still with us? Martin must be asleep now.
Yes, it's still online, of course.
Got some good news for you, Martin. I'll have to let you in on it.
Yeah, the thing is that we are on YouTube, so I wouldn't like to for the whole world to hear my cat meowing.
I see. So Marquise with us. I thought Stacy came on earlier. Did he come on? Maybe not, eh?
No, I don't remember seeing him, but I've been doing so many darn things today.
All right, here comes
that downward move that you were looking for.
yeah, here comes the NAS looking for a breach of these lows into this gap, and that might give us the turnaround that we're looking for. It's the last line of defense is this little gap here. So this would have been a nice sell had we, been looking to go short, but this is again the same structure that we're looking for. A sweep here, drop, retrace, drop. A quick play there. So this time we'd be looking for that. One of these. That's the structure. Keep it as simple as possible. So we're into the algo, but not much of an algo going on today. And the algo is, I'm using ICT's theory, although he claims it's fact that the markets move based on an algorithm. Prices printed for us, or these bars are being printed for us based on an algorithm. So if you believe that, then he says that at certain times during the day, the algorithm kicks in and does different things. And one of those times is 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Eastern, and 10 o'clock in the morning, Eastern, and 3 o'clock in the evening, in the morning time, Eastern. So those 3 times during the day are particularly buoyant times for the algorithm to work its magic. And he also says there are macros, which are just smaller little mini algorithms, as it were, that are running at 10 minutes to each hour for 20 minutes. They run from 10 to the hour till 10 minutes after the hour. And the main reason for those little macros is seeking of liquidity.
I'm wondering if this is a true turnaround or
well, we didn't break the low, interestingly. So I want to see if S&P did. S&P did. Aha! You see, so the NASDAQ did not break that low. I'm looking for them to break the low, and they're not. And S&P has broken the low.
This one.
So S&P is telling us the truth, and we need to be able to get in on this retrace of this move, because we're not going to break the low any longer here on the NAS. So we got faked out. So if I look at both charts at the same time, what they did here was fake everybody looking for this drop. They've done it on the S&P, and then they take off. So the entry would have been right in here, but we can still get a retrace, hopefully, here. And they might not give us a retrace now that they've done that fake out with the divergence here. Very sneaky on their part. So if I were looking at both charts at the same time, which I should be doing when I'm looking to get into an entry, I would have caught that and have been able to jump in earlier on that move. But it's still not too late. So what I'm going to be looking for now is, since we've swept that high,
retrace. May or may not be easy to gain.
Yeah, let's see if we get a retrace here. Might not get one. And Bitcoin is also pushing back to the upside, which is quite interesting, because maybe they're not giving us a fifth wave either.
Bitcoin has a nice gap if this candle closes high.
So Bitcoin is doing a similar. So Bitcoin, I was expecting another drop here, but they don't give us that drop. So we're leaving without getting the final structure move. So now we've closed above. So I need a retrace in order to get into this play on Bitcoin. Same thing I'm looking for now in the NAS. So can I get the NAS retrace? We've got a big order block here. So even a touch of this order block might just be enough to give us an entry at that point. There is a gap way down here. I don't know if we're going to even come back down there at all. I don't even know if we're going to come back to this gap, to this order block, never mind. So breaker and order block right there. So can we get it drop back?
Missed it.
So very sneaky move. So I'm sitting here waiting and waiting for this drop.
Yeah, that first big green candle said we either make a stab at it now or we might lose it.
They are very good.
We
These
lost.
guys are.
Yep.
Yeah, see how
Without me today.
See how quickly they leave the area, eh? They leave in a
Yeah,
hurry.
that's what I saw. That first green candle was a big move up, you know, that traditional move, ha ha, you can't catch me type candle.
Yeah. All right, so I'm looking for them to come back to the order block here. Let's just see if we can get that. I would take the trade at that point. And it's the same story on Bitcoin. I would like to see them come back to the order block.
Bitcoin isn't quite moving as aggressively at this point.
No. This could be a fake. They've come back up into this area, so they could still come back down and take out all these lows. That is a possibility as well. So
Yeah.
looking for a turn to go back up here is
Yeah.
okay, but it could still be a fake. So it would be a, keep your stop tight right under there. If you do take the entry on the order block. And I think we've touched the order block. Wow, that's very close to touching that order block. Let me just see if we did. Well, we certainly have now. So that could be the entry at that point. But they could be just fooling everybody and they could just come down, take everybody out here. So this could still be intact and they're just doing this move to fake everybody out like they were going to go long. So looking at
What the hell got me in?
very sneaky on their part there again. Yeah, that's what they're doing. They're taking all these guys out who went long. See, all the stops are sitting there. So they say, okay, let's go get them. And then there's lots of stops here. So maybe let's just spend a little bit more money and go down and get them. And that'll give us our structure. And then we can turn around and go back up. So they're very astute. All right, so we're getting that nice retrace. I'm come back to the order block. So this could be an entry on the NAS now. Okay, I think we're going to come down a little lower on the NAS. So they might be coming back to this gap, which would be quite nice. So we're right at the order block entrance. I'd like to see them drop it down to the order block, to the gap. And there's also an inverted gap right here, which is in line with the gap, the regular gap. So we could just come and touch right there. And very close. Okay, so I'm going to look for a buy of the NAS here. And I'm buying it right there. Okay, so my stop will be below the candle that started the gap. Let's see if we get a bounce back to the upside here. So this is a similar play, except that it's much nicer on the S&P. And the reason why is because on the S&P we swept this low, but we didn't sweep it here. But it's the same thing. They go back up, sweep this high, and come back in, and now we get that move. That's what I'm expecting. So this is what we're looking for, except for they had divergence, or sorry, divergence the opposite way, divergence in this way. So if I go to the S&P, this is perfect on the S&P. So we get the sweep. This is what we're looking for. So there's our structure. That's the sweep. And then they come back up, they sweep this high. So we got the check, then they close above, another check, then they come back into a gap, that's another check, and off we go. This is perfect. This is the perfect. You want to take a picture of that, guys. That's the perfect setup and entry.
Yeah.
That's what you're looking for. If you can just be patient and wait for that every time,
It's that.
you're going to make money. All right, so I'm going to take some partial on this right now, and I'm good to go. So I'll move my stop up to. I can move my stop into positive actually, so I'll just do that. This is moving nicely. So maybe the algo is kicking in now, 40 minutes into the session. Amazing. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so where's my target? Go to the 5 minute. My target is again, right back up to the top here. So I could even use the equal highs as a target. Let's go right up. I could even be greedy and go right up to the very top there. So essentially, really, to be frank about all this, the previous, these are 4-hour candles over here. These 3 candles are 4-hour candles. So the previous 4-hour candle high, it would be a likely target. So I'm just being basically not being greedy, but I could go all the way up to the previous candle high. So I can always keep moving my stop up and so forth, protecting profits on the way up. But we have a beautiful 1, 2, 3. I'm on the 5 minute time frame, so we got a beautiful 1, 2, 3 bottom here. We've got the sweep. We've got the sweep. It's the same thing like we were doing on the 1 minute. Come back into the retrace, and now we're looking for the price to take off and go up into target area. So this would be the chop, and then one more push to the upside. All right, so it's looking really good there. I'm in nice profit here. I'm going to just move my stop up a little bit more just to protect or lock in a bit more profits here. Let's go to right there. Go to 400 even. Right there. Okay. And now I'm playing for free. Okay, so S&P again did our structure. So S&P was the one that was telling the truth for us by sweeping, and then giving us the nice 1, 2, 3 with that sweep. So again, if there's anyone new watching this, doesn't understand what I'm talking about, take a picture of this. This is the bread and butter setup that you want. If you can spot this setup, and it's the same thing that happened here, sweep, the push up, come back in, entry. So this is your entry. These are classic, beautiful setups. Move back up to previous high. This is what it's all about. This is what they're doing all the time on every time frame. Doesn't matter what the time frame is, whether it's 1 second or 1 week. You know, it doesn't matter. It's all the same thing. If I didn't show what time frame I'm on, it could be any time frame. So it's just a big fractal, and that's the whole secret to this is this setup that I'm showing here. the other proviso, of course, is that we need to be, when we get to a certain level, we need to be at some kind of support area, whether it's a gap or an order block, some type of support. That's what gives us that move off the bottom or move off the top for resistance and so forth. All right, so let's take a look at Bitcoin now. All right, so Bitcoin is still choppy. So
Yeah,
Bitcoin just doesn't want to move. So remember what I said at this point, that this could just be a fake, and they're gunning down to take out both lows. So they're still chopping here. So it's still possible for them to come down and take out these lows. So not like in Bitcoin for entries. Did manage to make a little something on it in here, but not like in it at this moment in time. So if it's not setting up, you don't trade, and that's it. It's as simple as that. So yeah, this is not setting up nicely here. We had a sweep here. They went up, but they didn't go above the high. So that nullifies. So we're heading back down to take out the lows, and more than likely take out these lows again. That will give us a structure move that we're looking for to the downside. So I don't know if Calvin is with us still, and I think he's on his phone if he's with us. So you're probably not seeing what I'm showing as clearly. If you can hear me, Calvin.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. So I don't know if on your phone it's a little different. But what I just pointed out, that's set up with that.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and again, on the NASDAQ here, it's a little different, but the S&P was doing it the proper way. So I could have played the S&P at this point, because the S&P was doing it the proper way. I could have played the S&P. So I have the choice. I can play either one. I prefer to play the NASDAQ because I get a bigger bang for my dollars than playing the S&P. But this, again, is the setup that we're always looking to get into. So we're getting quite a pullback here. And it looks like they've stopped me out of my that position. So unfortunately, I'm getting stopped out again, but at least it's in positive. So wasn't really expecting them to come all that way back in, but they have. So that's the way it is. So let's see what they're doing here. So I want to watch both of them again at the same time, because I didn't do that the first time and we had divergence. So let's see, will one of them take this low? I wouldn't expect either of them to take this low. I would want to see them turn around and continue back up, because we've come back into a gap at this point. So I'd like to see them both bounce off this gap and continue to the upside. So let's see how they play here. So if we get a breach of the low, we could get divergence again. We could get NAS taking this low and then S&P not. So we'll see how this plays. So there's the classic divergence. I think it's called SMT divergence. They call it smart money traders or whatever divergence, but it's just divergence in any way. And yeah, I was sitting there on NASDAQ looking for this drop, and it was happening on the S&P, but not on the NASDAQ. So I would sit there all day waiting for that and it wouldn't happen. Because that's our expectation, that we should get a drop breaking that low. All right, so it looks like we're coming down to take that low possibly, and NASDAQ has, S&P has not. So again, we're getting some divergence here. Wow, there we go. So we come right down into this big gap. the NASDAQ is able to sweep the low, but the S&P says, no, I don't want to. So can we turn around now at this point? So this is where the seconds chart comes in handy for me. I can go down to the seconds chart and I can see what exactly is unfolding in more detail. And I can then make a decision as whether I want to jump into a position early or not. Because for us to wait for our structure to complete here, we have to go all the way back up to the top and do this and then come back in. And then you're missing out on all this move. So you don't really want to do, you want to be able to get in and down at this level and catch that move. So now we're getting a bit more down below. Is the S&P going to break that low? Looks like it's going to. So we might not have divergence anymore. Nope, no more divergence. Okay, so they're both doing the same thing. It's quite a retrace here. So that must mean Bitcoin is dropping down further. Okay, so this is a totally different story going on here, George. They were looking like we were pretty good to go here. We could continue pushing up, but now they've taken out the middle low, and we have essentially equal lows here.
Essentially, we are still in a downward mode.
Yeah, it looks like we're in a downward mode still. So let me go back up to the 5 minute. Yeah, this is very choppy, eh? So
yeah,
it was looking like, yeah,
a break above now, but
yeah, very sneaky here because it looks like, yeah, we could get this move and push out to the upside, but now they're kind of saying, you know what, we've got a 1, 2, 3 here, so let's drop it down, take out these lows in here because lots of buyers swarmed in here. So let's just push price back down and take all these guys out, and then maybe we can push it.
If you're
back.
looking at your second chart, I'm on a tick chart, and it's starting to push above now.
Yeah, I don't know if they're really done though. I think they're going to drop it again. So a couple of things I'm seeing. I've got a 1, 2, 3 right here, and then this drop. So we could essentially do something like this, go back up, and then drop through one more time, take everybody out. So they're going to take out these lows here first, and we just did. So that's what I would expect on this drop.
Boy, they did that quickly too.
Yes, they did it very quickly because we have a 1, 2 here, drop, drop, drop. And so now we've swept these guys. So we could now go back up and sweep this high one more time and then come down, or they could just go straight down.
Still pushing it down.
Yeah. So looking like, yeah, they're going straight down rather than going back up again. That's very sneaky.
Yeah, the dollar's taking off.
Sorry, the Dow is?
The dollar.
Oh, the dollar. Okay.
It looks like it's retracing up, but
So yeah, we haven't looked at the U.S. dollar really, but
big spike.
it was in a downward mode, but now it's spiking to the upside. Yeah. Okay. So that's kind of putting pressure on the indices to the downside. So that's what we're getting, that push back down to take out the previous lows. So let's see if the S&P did the same thing. And S&P has really swept those lows. So it's a totally different ball game now. So it was just a fourth wave that we were in all this time. Very interesting. So it looked like we were at the bottom, but
Boy, NASDAQ has just blown the bottom.
yeah. So we've taken out the lows. So we do have a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5. So we have to look for a new bottom. No problem. So we made money inside a fourth wave. And it's, very choppy, very dangerous area, but there was still opportunity to make money. So had I seen it earlier, I didn't see it because I looked at this and I thought, oh, maybe the 1, 2 is here and then we're done. And then we're getting this 1, 2 and we're coming out. But when you look at it from this perspective, it's a drop and then we're chopping and now we're dropping through, taking that out. So you have to look at it in different ways, and there's always different possibilities of how this thing's going to unfold. So now that we've cleared these lows, and S&P has cleared these lows, so we don't have any divergence at this point. Both of them are the same. So we can now look for a turnaround. And I'm into the 15-minute gap. So remember, on the 15-minute time frame, I'm in this gap, and I've passed through it completely now, right down to the bottom. So there isn't anything else holding us up except for this order block right there. So
Looks
if
like
we continue
Trump just announced tariff news
Sorry?
about Mexico. Looks like Trump just announced tariff news about Mexico. Tariff starting tomorrow.
Okay, and that might have been a negative impact, perhaps.
Yeah, it looks like it kind of, because I noticed
Positive
that
for
the
the
dollar's,
U.S. dollar, anyways.
yeah, it's been really indecisive this whole today. So I'm guessing that just kind of put it in a direction.
Okay. So we are getting up. You see how we're getting a wick here now. So we're getting just a wick in this gap. And so we're not closing below the gap. We're just getting a wick. So this is a good sign that maybe we're done now. And of course, we have our structure. So that's also a good sign that our structure has played out and we're done. So I'll be looking for a turnaround at this point. And we're coming into the last hour now. So yes, it's looking good. So yeah, had I seen this earlier, this would have been a nice play to the downside right here, this leg. But that's okay. It's all good. Made a little bit of money going up, even in a rough, tough area. All right, so looking for the same setup like here, looking for that same setup over here now. So Bitcoin now has dropped right through as expected. So you can see that's what they were doing. They were just playing around and chopping, and then we get this drop. So if I look at Bitcoin on a higher time frame, where are we dropping to? And we're coming into this gap. And that's what I was saying when we first looked at it. It is possible for us to come all the way back down, take out these equal lows right here. So it looks like that they might be gunning for this gap, or taking out these equal lows, or taking out these equal lows. And there's even equal lows below that too. So it's possible for us to go right through. And here, wow. So a lot of weakness on Bitcoin right now. So we could go down a little further. So quite interesting here. So back to the NAS. I'm going to go look at both of them again on the same time frame.
Yeah, this is more difficult playing now because ATR is back to 50.
Okay, so we might not be done still. You know, I'd like another drop here. I'd like to see a sweep, right? We want to see a sweep and then push back up. So that's what we're looking for. That's our structure. So we don't have a sweep at this point.
Turn it up, but it's difficult at this point.
Okay, so looking for a sweep of the lows here. If they don't break this low, then we would look for a break of this high. But that's kind of not what I'm looking for. I don't want to see that happen. I want to see them break this low to give me a proper structure. The proper structure is this move, that, like that, like that. One more time. Same thing here. One more time. So we could get divergence here again. So one of them might not break this low, but we'll see. So patience, patience, patience. Let's see how this plays out.
Yeah, we
Well,
haven't got around
you
yet.
got the work going for you. Ding, bread and butter.
I don't call it that anymore. I call it shit and spoon. I don't want to do it. These are the only two I found, but I know there was.
I have to mute you there, Calvin.
Maybe.
All right, we're getting a breach of the lows as expected. All right, so both of them broke the lows. So no divergence. The S&P was a little stronger than the NAS at that moment in time. All right, so we need a breach of the highs now in order to get our structure that we're looking for. Or we could even breach these highs right here, something like that. We're still going down. Oh, okay, where are we going to? I'm going to go back up to the 4 hour, see where we're heading here. So what I said originally in the beginning, that these lows seem to be safe because we've swept out those lows to the left, and that's the pattern that we're looking for to continue out. They could take these lows out again. So that is a total possibility at this point. They've come all the way down. We've got an order block here. That's the last line of defense for this move down. So if we break through the open of this candle over here on the blue candle, we could continue down to take out the lows, which is not so good. And it looks like we're right there. So the breach of these lows here, I'm actually going to take this this stuff off so that it's a cleaner chart. Let me remove all this. Okay. So we've gone through these gaps, so they're no use anymore. And all right, so we swept these guys over here. We made a nice move. So this was the same move that I showed you guys just on the 1 minute chart just moments ago. Sweep, move back up, sweep, drop back in, buy. And you target previous highs. And that's the setup right there. This is on the 1 hour time frame. So now we've come all the way back. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's our structure, and then we get this A, B, C drop. So our structure is always the same. Looking for that pattern. Now at this junction, we should be turning back to the upside. So if we fail to do that and start breaking below this point, which is here, then the likelihood is that this point's in jeopardy. That would mean a completely different take on this whole move. So what could be happening is this move is like this, and we're breaking these lows over here. So that gives us a bigger, broader structure. And that looks like
a very hard time turning around now.
Yeah, this looks like that's what's happening at this point. That we're going to get a breach of these lows here. Yeah, we're coming. This is the last line of defense before the end is in. So I'm just going to put a line there so I can.
The 3 o'clock macro.
So this is where we are right now, almost there. And I've got one more here. So if we can't stay above these two guys, we're toast. We're heading down. So we can still just wick here and turn around. Because if I put the fibs on this move from the high to the low, we would expect, you know, to retrace around 50 to 62%. That's the normal retrace area, 50 to 62%. And then we get a move back up. But now we've come back inside our first and second waves, which is not good. So we're doing this, and then we're coming back inside here, which is not good. We shouldn't be coming back in here. Not good. Ideally, we want to push off this at this level here. So if we just get a wick here, then we can still push off and go, because the retracement can be up to 100. We can go 100% retrace. We can touch 100% at this level and still bounce off and go. That's possible, but more than likely not something that's high probability. If they come all the way down here, they're more than likely going to push through it to take out these stops here. So lots of stops here, lots of stops under here.
Hello.
Here, this is Jim Gibson calling.
Jim Gibson calling. How are you?
Okay, I'm gonna have to mute
I'm on top of the world.
Peter here.
I like you.
Okay. All right. So what's gonna happen here? Let's see how S&P looks. Are they identical? Very much so, right? Although there was some divergence right here. There's a little bit of divergence on the S&P right here, because this one was lower here on the NAS. This leg was lower. So if I go back to the NAS, you can see that's the case. So there is divergence on the S&P. Interesting. So on the S&P, when we swept here, we got a 1, 2, 3 right away. No, we did not get a 1, 2, 3 because this was higher. So the 1, 2, 3 was like in here, where the Nasdaq's 1, 2, 3 was here on the outside. Interesting. So yeah, we could turn around here still. So I'm still looking for that turnaround. That's a possibility. Let me look at both of them at the same time. Just want to see if I get any kind of divergence. So the structure is intact. The nice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves down. So do we turn around at this point, 1, 2, and go? Do we get divergence? What's going to happen here? We're in the last hour now, so one of the takeaways here for anyone on watching us on YouTube and so forth is, yes, there are certain times during the day when you can trade setups and so forth, with ICTs, algos, and macros and things like that. But you can catch 1, 2, 3. Our 1, 2, 3 setups occur often, and you can catch trades once you see that setup and you feel confident that you're at a good support or resistance area, and everything is, you got you need to get at least three quality checks in order to take the trade, I would say. I would recommend, anyways. That gives you a good confidence level. So here's an example now that would be something that would be getting ready now, looking for a setup. So we need a sweep of that low. We just got that. So that's our first check mark. So now we need a sweep of this high. That would be our second check mark. So until we get that, we can't have a second check mark. Then we need price to come up, sweep that, right? And then a closure above would give us, so that would give us the 3 check marks. Those 3 are good, but now you have to get into the trade, the last retrace into the back into a fair value gap, or 50 to 62% retrace of this move. That gives us the 4th check mark. This is a really, really good. So you want to see 3 check marks for sure, that retrace back in, and the 4th check mark. So I guess I should say we want to see 4 check marks to really make it viable. Although this one is a bit of a not a sure thing. There's no guarantee that you will get a closure above that previous high.
We're looking for a new setup right now.
Yes. So this check mark might be a little questionable because you might not get a closure above. Ideally, that's what we want to see, but sometimes you don't get it. So. All right, so looking, you see how it looks on the higher time frame again on the 4 hour. Okay, so we've breached the second last low, so there's only one low left. So they looks like they want to take that low out. So it's not. This is no longer, once we breach this low, we no longer have a 1, 2, 3 bottom to take us back out. We'll have to get a new one. This will be a sweep. And then we'd be looking for that move there to continue us up, something like that. So it looks like they're gunning to take out both lows. So the first one's been taken, one more left. It looks like we're going to take that one out as well. So interesting here. So you come that close within a tick, so we should go through. I don't think they come all the way down here not to go through that. So we did go through by a tick. I'm sure we'll go through by a little bit more than a tick. There's lots of stops sitting here. Yeah, so there we go. All right, so now we need to come back up and break above this high right here. That would be our ticket back to the upside. So if you can be patient and just wait, we've got a sweep, need a sweep, closure above, retrace, entry area. There's a gap here. It could become an inverted gap. No other gaps. So S&P did the same. Yes. So we've got an inverted gap here. So possible to see price do that and then go. Even if I get a
At this
closure,
point,
see, I'm
I
getting a
have my
fractal.
chart saying it looks like we want to start a turnaround, but
Yeah, I'm going to
even
buy
my
it right
1
here
minute chart
because
is still
I'm buying it right now
saying that
because
we're nowhere near out of the woods.
I'm buying it right now because it looks good. I'll take a risk on this play. Let's see if I can push up back to the high. So on my second chart, it's giving me what I was looking for here. So I'm looking for that move here to the upside. Okay, I need a bit more push than that. So I've got a nice fractal, so I need to go here. Need to close above this inverted gap. Could have waited for that closure above the inverted gap before getting in, but let's see if we get a push above and closure above. It's trying. Got a closure above that gap, so that's a good thing. So let's see if we can continue pushing up. A big blue candle here, and you can take a partial. That's good. Okay, so I can take a quick partial there just to reduce my risk, just in case they decide to come back. But because I've closed above this inverted gap, I should be good to go here. Don't want to move my stop yet because it's still a bit tight. I'd like to get right back up to the high here. Ideally. So this inverted gap is the key here. I need to stay above it. So this has been a good day so far, not one loss, which is great. So Bitcoin is starting to make a little bit of a move. And here's what's interesting with Bitcoin. We get this 1-2, another 1-2 drop, but we don't get a breach of this low. So we do not get the fifth wave here. I would have expected them to break that low, and they didn't do it. So now we're getting a divergence here. And so they breached the high. So I don't have a sweep at this point. So a retrace still would work, but you know, that's without the sweep on this side. Interesting.
Isn't that wave 4 there, Lennox?
It's a possibility that we could, you know, because we didn't get that sweep, you know, I would expect a drop here, and we didn't. So we could get a chop drop one more time. That's totally a possibility. So because we do have a 1, 2, 3 top, but sometimes Bitcoin does this and does not give us that fifth leg, and it takes off. So we'll see what happens here with Bitcoin. Let's go back up to NAS again. What's going on? Okay, so they're coming back in a bit too deep here for my liking. So the inverted gap is not holding price up. So this could turn out to be my first loss, perhaps. Let's see if we continue pushing back up again. I'm hiding just below this gap here with my stop. So I did get a breach of this high and a retrace back in. So it's on a smaller scale.
It's a big retrace.
Yeah, it's a bit of a deep retrace on that, but there's nothing here. So it's a good thing I took some profits off at that point, because I wasn't totally confident that we were going to go. That's why I took that quick profit. So they can still take these lows out, which they're very close to doing. I don't want to move my stop.
Wow.
So that's it. So okay, so that did not work. So they still had one more leg to go down. Very interesting. Well, let's see if S&P is doing the same thing. S&P is a little higher. Okay, so we could be getting that divergence again at that point. Interesting, eh? So neither of them have taken the low. So would my stop have been safe below the low? Perhaps, right? Perhaps. So now we need to breach the high. So it might have been safe with my stop below the low at that point. And I didn't do that. So there is that inverted gap right there. And technically my stop should have been below the low, because that's the gap that I'm using as the support. And so my stop should be below the candle that made that gap, which is here. So I put my stop below the mid candle, and they took me out. But it doesn't mean that I'm safe in any case. They can still take out the lows here. Yeah, so NAS is taking out the low. Will S&P do the same or not? We could get the divergence now. So I'm being very methodical, very patient and all that, and looking for the right setup. But even though you think you've got it sometimes, in this case here, it looked pretty good. It's just not done. You know, they still say they've got one more to go take out. So all the buyers who jumped in, like me, are getting taken out. So both of them are getting taken out now. So yeah. So again, we have to wait for a breach of the highs. So this would be the highs here that I would look for a breach. And that move up. That's our 1, 2, 3.
Lennox, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I think what's going on is that about a half an hour ago, Trump announced increasing the tariffs on China and putting the tariffs on tomorrow for Canada and Mexico.
So good news for the US dollar. And bad news for the indices. Yeah, interesting. Okay, so we both instruments have breached their lows, so we're looking for a turnaround here again. Looking at this again from the 4-hour standpoint, we've breached the lows now, so we have a whole new ball game, as it were, at this point on the 4-hour. So what is holding us up at this point on the 4-hour? Where it's just an order block. That's it. There are gaps. Let's see. Let me just go over there and take a boo here. There is a gap here. I'll just mark that on the 4-hour. So this gap is the last gasp if we break through, if we continue down below this order block, which where we're at right now. So we do have this gap. So we're coming down into that gap, it looks like, because we're certainly below the order block. We're just at the bottom of the order block, just the wicks left. So they're coming into this gap on the 4-hour time frame, right down at the bottom, and we could even take out those equal lows at that point as well. So quite interesting. So I'm going to go to the daily and get a better look at this from this standpoint. So there is the 4-hour gap, and we're coming into it. Then we only have a low left.
Well, we've hit a 2-day low at this point.
And then the last is another low way down here, which I really wouldn't think we'd come back to at this point, but this low might be in play if we breach the gap. So I'll just mark that low as well. So that could be in play, but it's this current gap now that we're heading into. So that's quite a drop. So if we do not breach this low, then, you know, structure overall would be sort of intact, it's a bit messy, but we can certainly take that low out. You can see. We could certainly take it out and go back up again. But it's very messy in here. You can see how choppy this whole thing has been.
Oh, very bad, yeah.
So I had this marked out as, you know, we came up and we had like an A and a B and a C and a D and E leg, and this would be done here, and then we'd be looking for a 1 A, B, C to come out of here. That's kind of how I was picturing this. However, this low here, this E, could be in jeopardy, and that would nullify the structure. So sweeping these lows here, that's great, but we don't want to sweep this low if our structure is going to stay intact. So basically, all I'm showing again for everyone is the same structure that we looked at earlier. This is the bread and butter structure. The sweep, and then entry. So this is the sweep, and then coming back down for an entry, you know, at this point to continue going up. But if they breach this low, then all bets are off, and we're not going to do that. So this gap right now at this point is the last gasp of hope to keep us buoyant. Otherwise, we're going through to take out the lows. So the market is always moving in waves, and using the E waves, the Elliott wave, it's always doing that same pattern over and over and over again. Doesn't matter what the time frame is. It's always doing this pattern. If you can see it, the pattern, it's bonus. If you know where you are in the pattern, it's bonus. So right now we are in a very choppy area of the pattern, and this is typically a fourth wave area, right, where they chop up and down.
Hello, gentlemen.
Good afternoon. Who is that?
It's Armin.
Armin, there you are. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good.
I sent you a message.
Oh.
Via text.
In Skype or?
In Skype and text, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, I got up early this morning, traded, and was working with Peter actually, and then I decided it was time to go back to bed. And
that's allowed.
There was a bullish flag on Tesla, and I was going the wrong way, so I just thought, forget it. I'm just going back to bed. And I woke up to find out that Tesla went my way, but whoa, did it ever go?
That's good.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, I put my stops in, you know, I didn't make all the money, put it that way. I'm just looking at it going, wow.
Yeah, it's good when you're wrong and you're right.
Yeah, well, Peter, yeah. I don't know if Peter stayed in his trade or whatever, but hopefully he did well.
I caught the rundown, Armin. If you look at the 1 minute or 5 minute, there was a nice rundown in price.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I caught that. I wrote that one down.
Wonderful. Wonderful. At least somebody's making money. I went long.
It's not easy, but you know, it's
I got out of my position on, you know, the short side. So I recovered most of my money. But right now I went long at the bottom of what I see here, which is 282.24, which is close to the bottom. It was hit 279.22. So I'm going long again for the end of the day.
Okay, so Tesla would be looking like the indices right now, I would think. Yes, indeed. So they're starting to turn. So a similar type of thing. So if I go back up on the 4 hour on Tesla, what we were talking about earlier, we were inside a gap, touching that gap. So now it's on the 4 hour, we can see we're setting up that nice 1, 2, 3 bottom to go back up. So this is a huge entry in here for longer term players to ride this past, 300 and up. So right. you're sitting around 280. So right. That's a 28-point move right there, on the 4 hour time frame. So that's really good. So yeah, this is a great entry area. So yeah, looking at the NAS, the same type of thing. I'm looking for that. We've got we've got a sweep here, a little bit of a sweep there. We've got a breach of that high. So retrace back, there's a gap there. So everything is set up nicely here. So if I can get a retrace back into this gap right here, I would take the trade with stops right there. So very small risk and could catch a nice little move to the upside here. So let's see if that plays out. So I'm getting a retrace right now. So I'm calling this a bottom, but could be premature, but it's looking pretty good. We're getting, the check marks. I've got 3 check marks now. I've closed above the high, so I need one more drop back into this gap, and it's a buy. And we've got it. So it could come down a little further. It would be good. That might be it. I'll take it there just in case they decide. Okay, my stop loss would be right below the low of this candle. And let's see if we do get out of here now. If they're going to leave, I'd like to see them leave a little quicker than they're doing. So they're hanging around a bit too long. You don't like when they do that. It's always a bit disconcerting when they do that. So there's the gap. We're right in it. Need them to bounce out of this gap here. Otherwise, I'm in trouble. So they went and closed below the gap, which is not a good sign. Don't like that when they close below the gap. Wanted to stay within that gap. Still alive, but barely now. So they could take me out quite easily here. So technically, again, my stop should be below the low, but I'm giving it too much there, so I put it below the mid candle because less risk. But you also take a risk that you could get stopped out easier, quicker. Yeah, and that looks like that's what's going to happen. So, yeah, tough one. Should my stop have been here? Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. Will they take that low out again? Maybe they're going to do divergence on S&P. So we could be getting divergence here, possibly. So, or they won't take this low at all, and I should have had my stop there. So those are the two possibilities here. You either get divergence, one of them breaks, one of them doesn't. So again, a pretty nice setup, but not happening. So I can see I've got a 1-2 here, so we could break this low one more time, certainly. 1-2 here on the S&P, so yeah, we could break that low one more time. Just noticing that I saw this little blip, I thought, okay, that might be it, but this is a much more pronounced move here, so they are very good, very sneaky, so yeah, it looks like we're going to break the low one more time on both. So it wouldn't have mattered if I had my stop here. It doesn't look like. Did you see that, Armin?
I'm seeing it and playing it, actually. I'm trying to go long again, just around 280.10.
So that's Tesla. See how Tesla is looking right now.
Yeah, I just got it at 280.09 here.
Okay, so Tesla.
I see a 1, 2, 3 top there on the 1 minute chart around 280.45. Further weakness to come.
It's a possibility. It's similar to the NAS and the S&P, so we could drop one more time below. That's what's happening here. Same thing like the S&P and the NAS just did. It kind of fooled me a little bit because I thought that this blip might have been it, but it wasn't. So they came back up. So we could come down one more time, possibly. So don't panic out if it does go below, you know.
Yeah, no panicking.
No, panic is not good. Okay, so we did sweep the low. So my stop wouldn't have been safe there either. So, and S&P did the same thing, swept the low. Okay, so now I'm looking again for this breach of that high. And do I have a gap down here? No, I do not have a gap, but I still have this inverted gap. So that becomes an inverted gap now. So I'd like to see us go and close above this inverted gap. And that would be good. So I want to make that loss back. Don't like losing. It's messed up my day. 12. Okay, so we have about 12 minutes before the macro at 10 minutes to 3 to 4 o'clock. So should be an interesting macro today, as most of the liquidity is sitting above us, right? Most of the liquidity today is up above, so you could see a run.
It didn't continue in the same direction.
It could drop in the same direction as well. They might say, hey, let's go get those guys down there first before we go back up. So yeah,
I just saw Qubit here. We're down 10% today.
That's not good.
No.
That's not good at all. Okay, so NAS has dropped through all these lows. Oh my, we really dropped through all these lows now. So this thing is not in any way turning around.
Although we schedule appointments from 7:35 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon, Monday to Friday.
Right on that last
We're open from
guy.
until 4:30 p.m. If you need to change or cancel an appointment urgently, you may also call 1-800.
Okay, somebody needs to mute
203
themselves. There.
Not me.
Is that Mr. Bain? Have to mute you there, Peter. Okay. Let's see. So I've got a gap here on the NAS that I did.
Why is it going way down there? Gotta stop doing that. 279.74.
Okay, so it looks like they're gunning for this gap here, George. We're taking out the last low over to the left.
Yeah.
And they might be heading into this gap here. So there might be a little bit more down to come. Let's see how far away we are from. Not that far away, so we could certainly push down a little further into it. And it looks like that's happening. So we're only about 240 to 320, 80 handles away from that gap.
Yeah.
$271. Might be going down to 271 here.
We could have made a couple of plays on the way down.
NVIDIA sure fell down today.
Again?
It's down 9.6% right now.
Down 113. Let me see what NVIDIA looks like. This is one of my best high-flying stocks.
Yeah, well, they're
getting rammed.
March is coming in like a lion.
All right, so we've swept the lows here on the NVIDIA, so we could be very much at a turning point here. This is buying time. These are good prices to be buying this thing at now. Yeah. Down in the 100 and below 115. So if you want to buy NVIDIA, this is it. This is the time.
Yep, well, it's crazy.
I found that a lot of NVIDIA chips have gotten into China by hook or crook.
$270.
Interesting. So Tesla looking a little lean there at this moment. We could see another drop on Tesla down below those lows that we're pointing out. Yeah, it looks like they're heading back to take out those lows. That's the same as the NAS and the S&P did. All right, we're coming into macro time in 7 minutes. Give me 1 second, gentlemen. I'll be right back.
It is going down. No, there's no strength whatsoever. Wow. It's over. It's over. Ugh.
Okay, I'm getting a little turn. Tesla getting a little turn as well. Yes. Okay, so they finished the drop. So this could be the turning point now. We'll see if this works out here. So I can either wait for the breach at the highs, or even earlier, I could go for that high there, that level. I could even go even tighter on this high right there. So that would be a quick sweep, breach of the high, retrace, catch the first little guy, or I can go higher, or I could even go higher. So you get 3 different opportunities. I prefer the first one, of course, because my risk is reduced considerably. So let's see what happens here. No gaps in here whatsoever. Let's see if I get a retrace back to this order block. Got a little bit of an order block here, so if I can get a retrace touching, that could be a buy right there. I'm going to give that a shot. A little bit of a retrace here. We've got 2 minutes before macro time. So this is a tough one because they can easily spike it down even if you get in to take you out and then take off if they're going back up. So
they could continue down and
they could continue down. So it's a tough one at this point. Let me take a look at this again. We got 1 minute left. So it looks like we should be turning back to the upside. We're getting a nice little wick there on the 4 hourly, nice wick. We come into that gap. 30 minutes, 15 minutes. Looking pretty good that we could get a nice turnaround here, but you see how they're not giving us much of a chance to get in. So they're playing very coy here. So no retrace here at this point. So we're back to that inverted gap. And I've got 8 seconds left, and that's it. So let's see what kind of retrace. If I get a good enough retrace here, and it might be a buy. A little deeper retrace would be good. So it can come back to this order block. Oh, that's a tough one. Boy, they wouldn't come down. They won't come down all the way to the order block. Interesting. It's a tiny, is that a gap? Yeah, not really. Okay, so let's see if they come back down to that. We're not moving with much gusto right now. So I was looking for them to come back here. That retrace. So might take these guys out, drop into the order block, and that would be the buy to go back up. So let's see if they do that.
So I have to leave, Lennox.
All right, Peter.
take care, Peter.
Yeah.
Thanks for dropping in.
Have a great day, all you guys.
Thank you.
Aloha, shalom. We'll see you a bit.
Yeah, where did you get in, Armin?
Well, I got in for the second time at 280.09, and I actually made some profit. I got out already at 281.28.
Oh, so, cool. Good for you. Good for you.
So I'm just waiting for
just a quick
any
hit.
further weakness. I have another buy order that I went in way up at 282.24. So waiting for that one to, yeah.
So that's a quick hit and run. That's good.
Well, I look forward to your wake-up call tomorrow morning.
Okie dokie.
See you then.
Okay, bye for now.
So they're not giving me a retrace here at all. Like they gave me a little bit, but not as much as I expected. So now we've broken above this high and closed above it. So again, I'm still looking for a retrace here. So I wanted to take these guys out. So I'm looking for them to take this low out, drop back, and then we go. So now that we've closed above that swing high,
Yeah, I have a buy order in at 279 on Tesla.
Did you see the Skype stuff I sent you?
Not yet. A bit busy here. Can I look later?
No problem. Yeah, no problem.
Oh. Crazy
slow.
news today. Wow. Crazy news.
Did anyone feel the earthquake? Well, for us, did you feel the earthquake, Armin?
What time was it? No,
this
I
morning?
didn't. No, I missed it.
Yeah, it's just before 5 or something, around 5. All of a sudden, our building just boom, boom, boom.
Is that right, eh?
Yeah, it's quite interesting. I didn't check the news for earthquake in Victoria here, but it's just
maybe check after close here. Yeah, exciting times. There's a big eclipse coming up here in 2 weeks, right? There's a lunar eclipse and then a solar eclipse.
Yeah, BC's south coast was hit by an earthquake that shook many people from their sleep just before midnight, it says. So that's not the one. Okay, so let's see. 4.5 earthquake. Yeah, Victoria affected United States and Canada. 9K from Washington. 5:02 a.m. Yeah, so I was correct. It was around 5 in the morning. 4.5. So it gave a jolt. My wife was up thinking that I was running around the house doing stuff. Got the baseball bat out and everything coming at me. Yeah, I won't give her access to the gun. Yeah. So I'm not getting the pullback that I expected. So I'm not getting into this trade, unfortunately. So it didn't go as deep as I would have liked to have seen right in here. There was a little gap there, and we almost touched it. Yeah, we did touch it actually. So that would have been, I didn't even notice that little gap there. Gee. So that would have been my entry right there had I seen that. I didn't see that gap. I don't know why it wasn't there when this was coming down. Interesting. So that would have been an entry right there to catch this move. There's 2 little gaps there for this one. And then the candle we came down. I was looking for a little lower move, and then another one here, but we didn't get it. So it's a missed play. So now the third and last opportunity is the high here, and then a retrace back down again. So we could still take out these. Oops, could still take out these lows, possibly even that low. So we'll see if we get another drop down. So this is the ultimate setup now. We've got the sweep, break of the highs, close or above. So can we get a retrace back in to go?
I hear somebody eating chips.
Not me.
No, I think it might be Calvin.
It's his lunchtime.
Nope. Yep, he turned his mic.
Sorry, my mic just on my phone. Sometimes it looks like the mic likes to get turned on again. Sorry.
No problem.
It's the internet. It's spying on you.
Okay, so can we get a retrace here or not? They're not giving us one. How's Tesla doing? Tesla should be heading up as well. Oh,
it is,
very nicely.
Yeah,
that's great.
Going.
Yeah. So that was what they were doing. They at this point here, they wanted to go down one more time and take out these lows. So they did that very sneakily and turn it around, breach. So they didn't give you much retrace here either. So it's just a quick little blip and then they're gone. So yeah, if you're we're sitting here waiting for a bigger retrace, we don't get it. And that's the way it is sometimes.
Yeah, it
With
looks
all
like
these, yep.
they're going for 285 there. That's,
yeah, looks like they're going for 290.
maybe as high as 290.
Yeah, that's where they're heading, 290. So that would be the move, the breach, retrace, continuation. Yeah, very good. S&P, nice little move on S&P as well. Same move. So we're not getting any kind of retraces, and it's not a dynamic move at this time of day. So it's going to be less than a minute before, less than 15 seconds before the close of the market, and we could get a big move here now. So we'll see if that occurs.
Yeah, well, you can hold it over till
The Asia session, yeah.
for the Asian session, I should say.
Okay, so we're at the close of not any big movements at all today. Interesting. Very tepid. Do we have some news coming out tomorrow that might be holding things up a little bit? Is that a possibility? Let's check for news tomorrow. President Trump speaks at 6 o'clock in the evening, so that's not anything. Okay, how about Wednesday?
That's not going to help.
No, Wednesday we have lots of red news. ADP, non-farm employment, and PMI again, 7 a.m. So 5:15 a.m., very early. ADP, non-farm employment, that's on Wednesday. Then on Thursday, we have unemployment claims at 5:30 a.m. And that's about it. So then Friday, we have non-farm employment change again, average hourly earnings, unemployment rate, and Fed Chair Powell speaks. So lots of stuff going on Friday. Interesting. Okay, so yeah, we're not getting a big move. It's a nice little steady move. It would have been nice to have been able to get in on a little pullback. That was the only pullback they gave me, was right here. And yeah, I was looking for a little deeper retrace, but so you missed that little move, but that's all good. It was a good day overall.
So I'm looking to see where your message is here. It's how do I get to messages?
Find yourself. But it's 9 trades, 7 wins, 2 losses today. Not bad. All right. Looks like that's it, guys. Very tired looking market at this point. Bitcoin did a nice little move also off the bottom. So again, they sweep. I have a 1, 2, 3 here. I would have expected another drop, but they're not doing that. So they're taking off without doing the drop. And that's what they do sometimes to mess you up. They don't give you that drop. So looking pretty good here for Bitcoin that it could start to leave out. So from the 4-hour standpoint, touching right into that 4-hour gap and possible turnaround opportunity now for Bitcoin.
Yeah, well, MSTR today really went up. I know up to about 300, and then it came all the way back down to 250.
That's quite the move, for it to go way up and then come back down in such a hurry. Yeah, they opened up strong and then tanked after that. Lots of room here for them to go. Yeah, this looks like at this point a bottom, and a big 1-2 sweep. So we got, again, there's the same pattern I've been trying to show everyone. Same pattern. So if this is the bottom, then we would expect a push out of here to the upside.
May I ask you, is that a gap on? Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
Is that a gap?
Big gap. Yeah. So we could see MicroStrategy here at 350 within the next by mid-month or earlier even. So we'll
okay. See. That would be good.
Yeah, that would be a good thing. Lots of good buy opportunities anyways on it.
I know today most of the stocks that I have in my watch list are down. The only thing that's up is silver, gold, and Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Mind you, there is one little company called it's BAKKT Holdings. I don't know how you say that, but the symbol is BKKT, and they're associated with the Trump family. There was some news months ago that they were going to possibly use this company to assist with the Trump empire. So it took off, and then it retreated big time, and now today it's up 12%.
Yeah, they really took off from 9.10 to almost 40. It's like, wow.
So maybe whatever Trump's going to say is going to be good for this.
Yeah, now we're back into the 12 area, 13. So it's a possibility that they could take out these lows here, though, because you do have a 1-2 there. So we could drop one more time, take out even these lows. So it could be down below 5.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly.
Yeah, well, it's a very volatile one as well.
Yeah, it's a super volatile. We were up at almost 70, 68 or something like that. So, yeah, nasty looking chart there. So at this point here, we could construe as a fourth wave, and we could certainly drop through. Quite interesting there. Yeah. All right, gentlemen. We can
Okay,
call it a day.
Okay, doke.
Try and find your message here.
You found it?
No, I'm gonna go find it.
Oh. Yeah, I just jumped into Bitcoin just now just to see if I can catch a little ride out here. So it was up quite a nice chunk there a moment ago, but now it's coming back on a retrace. All right. Yeah, it's in your chat, and same thing you were looking at yesterday under
Right.
Armin Tom with that 1M.
Yes.
Okay, take care, everyone.
All right.
Okay.
All right, George.
Bye for
See
now.
you guys
Good
tomorrow.
Bye, George.
All right,
See you tomorrow.
Bye,
All
Vic.
right. Let me
Bye,
know
Martin.
when you look at that, Armin.
I will. Yeah, I'll call you
Okay,
later.
Martin, thank you for dropping in.
Thank
Calvin,
you for that.
Marquis,
Was a stellar session. Thank you.
excellent.
All right.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Martin. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right. Take
Bye,
care,
Martin.
guys.
Bye.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Bye
take
now.
care.